Hey, it's Sam from Sugar Spun Run, and today I'm showing you how I make chocolate sourdough muffins. These are a simple chocolate muffin made with sourdough discard, so you don't have to waste yours. If you haven't jumped into the sourdough game just yet, I will make sure to put a link on how to make your own sourdough starter in the recipe description below. So for those of you who already have your sourdough discard unfed and waiting to be used up, you're going to want to get your oven preheating to 425 degrees Fahrenheit and grab a large mixing bowl. So in this, we're going to combine 1 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour with 1 cup of firmly packed light brown sugar, a teaspoon of baking soda, a ½ teaspoon of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon of table salt. We're just going to break up that brown sugar and whisk everything together until it's completely combined. Next, we're gonna slide this out of the way, and you are going to need a separate mixing bowl or a large measuring cup like I'm using today. To this, we are going to add a ½ cup of very, very hot water. You want it at least steaming, or even better would be boiling hot water. And to this, we're going to add a ½ cup of Dutch processed cocoa. I really should have put the cocoa in first and then added the water to that. It would have saved me a little bit of a mess here. We'll carry on. And we're going to whisk together that hot water and the cocoa powder. Oh, and if you'd like, you can either use hot coffee instead of the hot water, or you can add a teaspoon of instant coffee, which is just going to give a deeper chocolate flavor. You could also leave out the coffee, that would be fine. So I'm just gonna whisk this until it's nice and smooth. This is just my trick for blooming the cocoa. So rather than add the cocoa powder with the other dry ingredients, by adding it here, we're just going to get a deeper, nicer chocolate flavor. All right, once that's nice and smooth, we're going to add 3/4 cup of sour cream, though you could use a full-fat Greek yogurt instead if you prefer, and a ½ cup of a neutral cooking oil. So I'm using avocado oil, but you could use canola or vegetable oil if you prefer. We're also going to add 1 large egg, and I like this to be at room temperature, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Whisk everything together again until it's nicely combined. And then we'll add our sourdough discard, and this is a ½ cup of sourdough discard, so that's unfed sourdough. We'll whisk this in as well. Just find it's easier to add it last. Then let's bring back our dry ingredients. We are going to pour our wet ingredients right in to our dry ingredients. And just gently fold everything together with your spatula until it's about halfway, or like 50% combined. And once it's about 50% there, we're going to add our chocolate chips. This is a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. We'll fold them into the batter until everything is completely combined, so your chips will be nicely distributed and you shouldn't have any flour streaks remaining. Anytime you're making muffins, you do want to take care that you don't overmix. Make sure you're scraping the sides and bottom of the bowl, and just use a spatula. Don't use an electric mixer. You don't want to overdo it. Okay, so today's recipe makes 18 muffins. We're just going to start with 12. And if you only have 1 12-count muffin tin, it is totally fine for the batter to sit on the counter while the first batch cooks and then the pan cools down enough so that you can use it again for the last 6 muffins. Just note, you might want to take a minute or 2 off the total baking time when you do your second batch of just 6. All right, now I like to use an ice cream scoop to divide the batter. I'm filling these like between 2/3 and 3/4 of the way full. And then I like to take a couple more chocolate chips and just sprinkle these lightly over the top, because can you really ever have too much chocolate? I don't think so. All right, let's take these over to our 425 degree Fahrenheit preheated oven. You're going to bake them in the center rack for 8 minutes. After 8 minutes, you are going to reduce the oven temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Do not open the oven door, and continue to cook for another 9 to 10 minutes. This initial high heat helps the muffins to rise nicely, while then reducing it to a lower heat helps them continue to cook all the way through and be nice and tender and soft in the centers. And of course, you always want to check that they're done baking by using a toothpick and inserting it into the center of one of your muffins, and it should come out clean or with a few moist fudgy crumbs. Now we're going to let these cool in the muffin tin for about 5 minutes, and then carefully remove them to a cooling rack to cool completely, or at least cool a little bit more before we enjoy them. I like to use a butter knife to gently pry them up. And that is how you make easy chocolate sourdough discard muffins. If you try it, let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. You guys ready to try them?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Tell me what you think. How is it?
Yum. Excellent.
A+?
Yep.
Thank you.
I like muffins.
You like muffins?
Why are you working?
Everyone has to work. How is it?
Excellent.